Cool. Do you want to start us off with a prayer?
Yeah, sure. Um,
Do you want to, before you start us off, just give a quick sentence explanation on why a prayer is something that we want to include in our
yeah,
podcast?
yeah. I think a lot of the elders that I've been fortunate enough to um, work with, those who were divinely inspired spiritual teachers um, within the my psychological, uh, healing mindfulness practices. Some people call it gratitude.
Hmm.
um, and you know uh, it's just it's an important way to alchemize the space yourself, and allow for you to really dive in and tune into heart space. So it really, it's us being here today. We want to have gratitude for all of those who made it possible for us to be here today. Always honoring this sacred land. For those of you who are our relatives who are joining us now, and those in the future who will be joining us and seeing this,
Hmm.
we welcome you here, and gratitude to you to be here, for being here. For the land that we're nurtured in, that we're sitting on now, which is the Ohlone land, and who are the protectors and the Costanoan people. We remember you in this space, and we cherish you, and we also for those ancient keepers of the light. I always like to acknowledge the African, Gabonese, and Ghanaian ancestors who were keepers of the light and who continue to protect us and be here with us and live in our blood and provide us with inspiration and insight. We remember you here. We're thankful for the Almighty who makes everything possible, and
For
we
sure.
walk with oneness and in that spirit.
Mm.
And so those who don't have, and ultimately all of us who are continuing to remember and live for, that we are sacred, luminous beings, uh, that we are worthy, and that we are love, and our gift of love is for forgiving.
Mm.
So as we say, Ashe Ho,
Ashe ho.
may it be so.
May it be so. Wow, that was beautiful. Y'all could tell he knows this stuff. I ain't heard a prayer like that.
Yeah.
Start them off right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that felt really grounding to hear. Thank you
Mm.
for that. Um,
Mm.
okay.
So yeah, today's episode, what are we going to dive into?
Honestly, guys, we've been debating on this topic transparently. Um, but I think I'm ready to go on
You ready
a
to
journey. Yeah, about
journey and
unpack.
invite others into the journey as well? And mm,
Yeah, I think it will also be helpful for me to talk it out loud because I
mm,
think it could give me new perspective too.
mm.
Even speaking it to others, taking it from inside here and sharing the message. So,
It's a powerful thing to take your narrative and allow that narrative to share it with others, and then collaborate in clarity, truth, finding truth. And so, gratitude to you for the vulnerability and having the courage to be here today, to be vulnerable, to speak that truth, and to trust once again in the love and people to, you know, bring that light. So uh our subject today, what are we talking about here?
So what we're going to be talking about is my decision to end my chapter with baseball and start a new journey of self.
And that chapter is a significant one. It was a lot of your life.
It was.
Baseball was an
I think
inc
I've been playing since what I could walk, I would say.
yeah,
There's a picture of me in uh Momo's
yeah.
place with the little glove on.
Hmm.
I couldn't have been more than what, three,
Yeah.
four?
And it's funny, before you even knew that catching would be the position that you were playing, you were in a catching position in the kitchen.
That's funny. That's so true.
Yeah, you were in the catch, you were catching. It wasn't like throwing or with a bat. He was with a glove sitting there in squat, like going like
That
that.
stood out to me in my perspective, but when you just named that now, that connected
I've
it.
always thought of that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it began early. I mean, we had many early mornings with before school. You would I would say it's about fourth grade or something like that, maybe around that time.
Diamond Park, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And we would early morning get up before school, right around sunrise and stuff, and go out
Yeah.
up the street to the field.
And by the way, guys, this is something that like we wanted to do. This was
Yeah.
not like,
I
oh,
didn't,
we gotta get
yeah.
up, we gotta go get this work in. It was like fun for us to get up
Hmm.
and celebrate what our bodies could do.
Hmm.
I just wanted to name that.
Yeah. And I think as your father, I also coming from an athletic family for the
Yes.
um, you know, we've had we have a lot of athletes that are in our family and recognize, the importance of sports and the value of sports,
Mm.
appreciation of it, and you know, me wanting you to have that discipline uh is, you know, here I am working dad getting up in the morning too, with him and going out there
That's real.
and we would be
Celebrate it.
work, get out there early and there would be a couple, what were that? You would run the hill and we would do toss-ups and pop-ups and
Ah, bro,
then there was these ladies.
I remember running in circles around the grass, but we do different runs. We start
Hmm.
off with like just a regular jog, and then we do like side shuffles. And I
Hmm.
feel like karaoke to warm up the body before we started to work out.
That's right.
I remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I remember, yeah, running up this little dirt hill. It
Which
wasn't
was
little.
no, that
Nah,
was
I ain't gonna lie.
it was steep.
I'm saying little now because I think my journey through the mountains has changed my perspective
Right.
on mountains, but I gotta give it its props. It was a steep hill
For you at that age
at that
range to
age.
sprinting up, shout out to those athletes from Cal who train
Oh man,
on the hills.
I
We
say
know
all.
those hills, that one steep hill
Hey, if
near
you know, you
campus,
know.
you have to run up that there where you start getting to the top and crawling a little
Oh
bit,
boy.
that's what inspired me. I used to go out there and he now had something to run up and there was a group of women, beautiful souls that were older, elders, who would stand there and like cheer you on.
And just out of the kindness of
Out of
their
kind, they're
heart,
like, yes, we'd love to see.
my yeah, me celebrate what that my body could even do that. They just found it genuinely so, I think, uplifting and
Yeah, they value that. You're
yeah.
there taking care of your health. You're there setting the intention to get better and improve.
And I think they were out there too, taking care of their health. So it was almost like an exchange
It was
of
symbiotic. Yeah.
symbiotic, like the older generation sees the younger generation
Yeah.
also taking care of their health and they want to motivate that on.
Shout out to the spirits of
Shout
be
out to
the
this
seventh generation investment,
man.
and recognize the ebb and flows of life that feed into the seventh generation. The gratitude to you and gratitude to all those women and their divine feminine energy who
Mm,
brought that to the space and for healing. So we recognize you here.
we do.
Um, yeah, so that was the beginning. That was kind of like, and then the trajectory it was on. after that, games after games, like places after places.
I think it transitioned from being like just a hobby where I would fun to go to the park, play catch, fun to go work out together, get some swings to being like, okay, this is becoming a part of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's starting to become part of your everyday, your
Hmm.
grind, what you're watching, what you're spending your time working on outside of school. Like you said, games, traveling, far distances too.
Absolutely.
I mean, we would drive easy, at
Hours,
least 12
hours.
hours in a weekend,
Easy, easy.
but it didn't feel like a lot of driving.
No,
It like part of the beauty, I think, of those journeys was riding in the car with you, listening to
it
music.
was the journey, right?
It was a
It wasn't necessarily the destination. Again,
it was the
it
journey.
became about the time we spent together,
Yeah,
you know, eating, you know, those steak sandwiches
come
and
on.
like
Hey,
getting those ices from the
what was that place called? Big League. Oh no,
what was
no.
that? I can't even remember. The
Wow.
beautiful field, like
Beautiful
fields
turf field.
everywhere, like
Maybe y'all can Twin Creeks? Twin Creeks.
Twin
Come
Creeks.
on, man.
That's right. Twin Creeks. That's right.
Hey, shout out to the Ices there.
Man, you've never had them like
You,
that. Like whew, they were amazing.
yeah.
And they full of love. They treated the whole team,
I
the
honestly
Ices.
think that's what it was. The love that they poured into it made it so amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
But those were hours and hours upon hours that spinning out there for years.
yeah.
And then came Bishop O'Dowd,
Transition to high school.
transition to high school. And
Don't mind our ice machine in the background.
yeah,
We were trying to ignore it, but I just thought I would name it for the video. I saw you struggling to turn
yeah.
this.
I was like, oh, here we go.
Uh,
But it is what it is.
it's part of nature.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's all right, yeah.
you
Um,
know,
so yeah, you put a lot of work, a lot of time, um, a lot of support, a lot of training, moving from being sort of held, by parental guidance and then taking that initiative onto your own.
I think when I got my license, that's when it started to, I felt like transition from being more of a family journey to being more my dream of what I wanted in
Mm,
terms of like you guys were, it was like all of us feeling the decision. And then it became to a point where it was like you guys could support me, but it was me fueling that
absolutely.
desire to keep going and playing.
Absolutely.
Because,
That intrinsic motivation was there. I mean, we're talking this, he for years was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, training before school, after school,
five
having
days a week
games, 5 days a week,
with, yeah,
going to Catching Academy and, you know, uh, much love to everyone there
man,
at
yeah.
Catching Academy.
Shout out Brett,
You do an
you know,
incredible job of developing
that's
talent and
he.
athletes. And shout out to our Cuban family, Michael Rodriguez, who spent many years
Oh
in
man,
Richmond,
that's a whole
California.
nother story.
You training
Y'all
with
got a
him.
the Cuba trip? Woo!
Oh, the Cuba, yeah, our trip
I
to
was saying
Cuba.
the Cuba trip. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
that
We'll
is.
have to do a separate episode just on Cuba alone.
We will.
Yeah, and the travels.
So that was
But
our first big travel, I feel.
there was,
Anyway, that's
yeah.
another for another time.
But Michael Rodriguez, an incredible coach, and but you were doing it,
Yeah.
and very much heavily, and of course, Stu Gordon.
Mm.
Shout out to Stu Gordon.
Still
Much
Gordon.
love to you, Mr. Gordon, for all your support.
Yeah.
Much gratitude to you, and for those of you who don't know, Stu Gordon is this amazing individual who they named the Cal Field afterwards, and I
Cal
like
Berkeley,
uh,
California.
the baseball field renaming of it. We were blessed to be there for that, and
Yeah.
he's been an incredible advocate and support of Aeneas. And I think it's beyond baseball. I think he genuinely sees your light and appreciated you, and baseball was a vehicle. So all
And
of this to say that a lot was invested into this identity,
And I
right?
think that's important to name Stu Gordon just because he was of an elder generation who
Mm-hmm.
played the same game as me
Mm-hmm.
and was one that I feel like I really connected with
Mm-hmm.
and was almost played a mentor figure role to me in many ways in terms
Mm-hmm.
of him asking thought-provoking questions to me. If I'm dealing with any struggles in the game, I
Mm-hmm.
can go talk to him. So he
Mm-hmm.
was just a really big part of that journey. And yeah, thank you for mentioning him.
Yeah. So we celebrate and honor you here. And, it's easy. You got a lot of attention. You got a lot of people who are coming out to games and seeing you and,
Yeah.
and it, that athletic identity is a very real thing. And you're young too. You're growing. Your brain is developing from being, that 5 to 12, and then that 12 to 16, and 16 on. Like
Yeah.
those are major changes in your thinking and who you are. And you're all along, baseball's been this anchor, this constant. And uh so I guess the first question I have for you is like, how did that shape your passion for the sport? How did that impact your passion for the sport? The experiences that we sort of were naming.
No, I think that was my first introduction to it. So that set the tone for my whole journey. I mean, even throughout the times where I took my journey more into my own hands, I feel like those times still stay with me.
Mm,
Whenever I go to the field, smell the grass, I remember being at those little league fields with you
mm,
and Mama and Troy.
mm,
And yeah, that energy stayed grounded in me even
mm,
as the years went on. And
mm.
I think that was a big part of what still fueled it for me, the family aspect in it. The
Yeah.
game became merged with the family energy.
Mm, yeah. That's that's beautiful to hear that, you know, that love, that source of love was a motivating factor and force. Um, and also, I guess we named a lot of dynamics within this evolution of you becoming, evolving as a student athlete. But I think one of the things we didn't really talk about, which might be valuable to a lot of you athletes out there, young athletes, student athletes now, is this balancing this academic personal life and the demands of what looks like a budding career, you know?
Yeah.
And, as you said, you took it upon yourself even more so when you started driving. Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what that balancing was like, personal life, academic life, and the demands of athletic life.
Yeah. I think, man, that's a good question. Honestly, when it's, I'd say the beginning of the journey when I started taking it into my own hands, it flowed pretty simply.
Mm,
I think I was able to balance both, but I think when it became unhealthy was when I started prioritizing baseball over every other part of my life.
mm,
When I started not being able to pay attention in class because I was thinking about my game later that day,
mm,
when I started having aches and pains in my body, but still feeling like I had to be forced to go to practice,
mm,
to go work out, even though everything in my body was like, nah, you should be able to rest and sleep.
mm,
I think that's when it started throwing things out of balance for me.
mhm.
And that's when it became unhealthy and unstable.
Do you feel like this is something a lot of young athletes hold and deal with, and like the external expectations of others can impact their wanting to like talk about it or feeling safe talking about it, or you know how do you think that may show up, or?
Yeah. I think it differs from person to person. definitely. But I think the same spirit is in there where it almost feels like you can't be your full, true, authentic self from day to day because you're disconnecting yourself from your body. Like when you're constantly, when your body's telling you, oh, like relax, please take a rest, but you're pushing through it. I mean, you're getting these spikes of adrenaline every single night, and your body gets addicted to it. And when you start disconnecting yourself from your body, I think that's when it starts to become a challenge in terms of being able to like balance being an athlete and,
Yeah.
you know, I forget exactly what question you
The
started
stu
with,
that
but
student, like being a student and being an athlete and having that balance, that overall life wellness balance, right? And I think as even being able to communicate that to your, your parents or your support network, your
mm,
guardian network, as a parent
okay, yeah.
myself,
Okay, that
you
that sparked
know,
it back for me. I think, yeah, when you're only known as an athlete to yourself and to the people around, if that's what you're spending most of your time doing, I feel like people start to put you in that category. Especially that's how I felt in high school. And I could see other people struggling with that, especially if it's something that they get a lot of attention for
mm,
and they're really well known for. I think personally, I can say at Bishop O'Dowd, there were some other kids on the team who struggled with, oh, do I still play baseball or do I not still play baseball?
yeah. And I think as a parent, we have expectations, especially if you see talent, those of you parents who are parents of talented athletes, super talented athletes who show this promise. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of attention that comes with that. And there's a disconnect that can happen where the living for what you want to manifest holds precedence over being able to be in the moment and see your child and be there and to support. And I'm speaking as a parent. I'm also speaking as someone who spent many years earning my master's as a sports psychology performance enhancement coach. I've worked with tons of athletes and conducted many workshops around this, working with parents, coaches, athletes like those who are tuning in, and also soon to be clinical doctor as well, valuing the mental and a clinical
Hey, shout
psychology
out to that.
doctor
That's been a journey.
as well, yeah.
Yeah,
But
congratulations.
being very versed on some of the mental and emotional dynamics that are impacting. And this communication piece is huge. I mean, part of what we wanted to do with this Father Sundays is just model and show how we engage in conversations. And this subject was, one that was of significance because we came to a point where Aeneas arrived at a place in his life and ultimately, his path is that, you're sitting there, you have a full scholarship and a place willing to pay for your living quarters and a lot of support from coaches are saying, we want you to come play baseball for
Mm,
us. And you came to this point before we left for Jamaica and we're like, you know, uh,
I don't know
you
if that's what
realize
I
if
want
you
to.
wanted to do. And like, so can you talk a little bit about at what point did you start to realize that, continuing with baseball was not the path that you wanted to follow? And what factors you kind of started talking about, but what factors influence that decision?
Yeah, I think it was a slow burn. Looking back on it now, I can name the times when I told people that I was finished, but the exact moment where I was like, nah, this is a flip
Mhm.
does not stand out to me thinking back on it now. Definitely Jamaica opened up my mind a lot and really pushed that forward. Going out there, seeing what it's like to live in silence, live with nature,
Mm,
inspired me to want to spend more time in it.
mm,
So I was still loving playing baseball, but then part of me was like, this is where you should be. This is where I my heart was being led to in that
mm.
space.
Yeah, that
Um,
connection with nature was evident, like it was present. And I also recall you speaking about like that connection with your own nature and what you loved. You love family, you love friends, you loved the quality of life, of wanting to get to know yourself. You wanted to respect the body that you were entrusted with, and that you were understood very clearly what a career in professional as a professional baseball player would be like and how that would affect your ability to spend time with your future children or your wife or your like what that's I remember you saying some of those things, you know.
well, I think it's beautiful that you have an outside perspective looking in on that and being able to see that. Because for me, it can be kind of hard to pinpoint exact journeys. I'm still figuring myself out after it, you know?
Mhm.
Like looking back on it, taking time to really process and dive into it more is something that I want to spend more time doing.
Mm,
So I think this is good for me to speak out about it and hear your perspective too, because
yeah.
that's yeah, insightful for me. Because I do feel that way.
And not just, you know, their decision was made, but also, you know, you're stepping away from this potential professional career in sports and, you know, making the significant decision. And a lot of people, I think, could benefit from hearing your narrative and story around like, how did you cope with the transition? Because there's a piece, you're switching schools, you're going, you know, it's a whole identity shift with family and friends, and like how many times we've been there and been in situations and I've heard, hey, you're Aeneas, hey, you're the baseball player, you know, and the Instagram followings that you're having social media, and people just kind of withering away because they're not seeing, you know, your game post and your workout, you know, and
Yeah.
like how did you cope with the transition, and like what strategies have you been using to redefine your identity beyond being an athlete? How are you getting to know yourself?
I keeping it as simple as I can, finding silence and connecting with nature. And I'll say why those two things are able to sum up that question. Finding silence is where I feel like I hear my soul speak to me.
Mm,
When I'm in the bustling city, there's cars around, sirens going off. It's hard for me to really hear myself think,
mhm,
honestly, at
mhm,
times. And especially after leaving baseball, there's so much stimulus. Like you said, coaches hitting you up, oh, why did you stop? Can we hop on the phone? Like, let me try to motivate you to go back and play. I mean, there's, yeah, having to tell different family members who don't even know that I stopped playing. Um, I think the nature piece where that comes in is it it almost feels like it heals me in being able to communicate its stories that it holds. Now, whether that be subliminally, by pushing me to unlock new like wills of drive within myself. I mean, I would say, a loss of, I would say, confidence in self, honestly, when you stop playing baseball. You're like, who am I outside of the game?
mm,
Like, are
mm.
people like I don't play this sport anymore where people are like all just giving me attention for being good. Yeah.
Can I say that you raise a very important point, because a lot of the work that I do with athletes and what I suggest, like I never had the expectation of Aeneas to play professional baseball. It'd have been great, it'd have been fun, but that wasn't why I had him in sports. I had him in sports. A lot of you don't know, may not know, but like early 60s or so, youth sports used to be an educational developmental space. It wasn't until like the competitive sports era, I want to say 80s, 90s, where it became more of a business practice and it became more outcome oriented and the culture shifted. I
Mhm.
always was process oriented in this and journey, like wanting you to get skills. And the best way to kind of encapsulate that is, but the first question I ask a lot of athletes is like, you know, I bring their attention. the privilege of sports is that every time you get an opportunity to show up in practice and competition, you get opportunity to learn more about who you are,
Mm,
more about who you are. If you have, you know, a focus that's on just getting to the league, winning games, then it 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 doesn't, there's no real return of the investment of the amount of time and money energy that you're investing into something. Where's the reciprocity? The true value of that is what is the energetic exchange with this medium, sports, that allows me to learn more about and develop who I am and grow as a person.
mm,
And this to me seems like the journey that you're on is a growth journey. And sports came to a point to where that wasn't the medium through which you wanted to continue to evolve,
yeah,
and there are many reasons why. And, I think it's just important to know for yourself, your path and what moves you. But there are a lot of, it's okay. Like there's a lot of athletes out there that can benefit from reflecting on what you're sharing. And I
yeah,
guess, you know, there are some athletes who may not have parents they can talk to or coach they can talk to or feel trapped. Like, what insight do you have, or what ways can you invite things that you can invite them to consider that might, those who are contemplating that same decision of walking away of some sports and as a career, what might you share with them?
yeah. Well, one, I would say we're always open to talk. I know you just opened up a new website.
Yeah.
We'll tell probably more about that at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, me too. I've been through it all. It's kind of difficult right now being able to speak in a general sense because I'm trying to be very mindful of including everyone in my
Mm-hmm.
sharing of the journey and what may resonate with other people, rather than focusing on just like telling my story, I think, as much.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to talk to me directly, I would be more than happy to talk to you. And if you have specific questions, I could share them too. Secondly, I would say it whatever situation you're in, as it may differ from person to person, if you can accept that and then talk to maybe, I don't know if you believe, but creator, the spirit, God, whatever you believe in, if you believe in something like that, and ask for guidance, it will guide you along the right path to find the people who you can speak to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there is abundance of people, even if it may not be clear in that moment, but if you channel that energy, you channel that path, someone will find you. And I honestly feel like that's what happened with me because I did leave without any really thoughts or knowing of where I was going after the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a feeling in me that said, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And everything in my being was saying, no, like move on from this space.
Mm-hmm.
And I just trusted that.
Mm-hmm.
And the process honestly found me. So I would say I couldn't give my direct analysis on what I did because it may not resonate with you in the same way.
Yeah. I um I really appreciate you naming that, holding the whole, and also wanting to validate for you that your narrative, your experience and your journey um, is is worthy. It's worthy because we all share the same sacred breath. We're all connected, and for whatever reason, your experiences is something that contributes to you know the balance of
Yeah.
life, because nature, as we know, as we believe, always seeks balance. It always is seeking balance. So part of what we're doing is we want to share our hopes and our values. This reminds me of a situation I had where I was at the time doing some modeling for Banana Republic back in the day,
Yeah.
before I had all the gray hair on my face. Um, And I would be able to sit in a thing like this with my shirt off, like, yeah.
Well, actually, wait. I think we should name why I have my shirt off in this
Yeah,
video because we actually didn't say anything
I
yet.
couldn't do it now.
I,
I don't have that type of confidence yet. I'm working to get it back,
hey,
but don't sleep like a boy.
hey, hey, coming soon.
Yeah,
I did just get a piece done, and it's not great for me to have my shirt on. I'll show you guys the piece that I just got done. Um, if you guys want a more in-depth video on why I got that piece, why it's meaningful to me, I would love to share about it. Um, but I have my shirt off to let the tattoo heal as much as possible. So I
yeah,
just wanted to name
yeah. So it's not a flex on the old man.
that. Hey, it's not though for real.
I know, I
Cause you
know,
getting there.
I know, I know. I'm
Hey,
saying,
he's been running though.
yeah,
Watch you.
yeah.
You on that grind.
Yeah,
You on that grind.
this is all about health and wellness, and we're inviting you into this journey. Hopefully, it can be inspiring, and we'll show you more of what we're doing to like
And
live this holistic, healthy life.
yeah, if y'all want to see like our own journey, we're not by any means perfect.
Yeah,
We're pure, not perfect.
not at all.
So,
We're just work in progress, like everyone else. We try to brush the stardust off every single
hey,
day,
Stardust, yeah,
and just try to do better to live a healthy life.
yeah,
And so I really just, for those of you, as Aeneas was saying earlier, we're available. We're here. Hit that subscribe button, that like button,
yeah,
and so that you'll see future videos. Sharifsalam.com gives you access to us. Aeneas and I are collaborating as well. He's a mentor for young athletes where you can book time with him. And, if you want some holistic approaches to coaching and life and wellness. And I can share some of my training and practices with you. You can book me as well to be there, but and you'll see it in the link on the side. Uh, we'll put that in there for you guys. But
yeah.
I think sort of, you know, it's important for athletes, young athletes, and everyone out there just to focus on taking care of your mental health, your mental and emotional well-being.
And know that the sports is not everything.
Yeah, indeed, you are.
You,
You
the
are.
space
Yeah,
inside, the space inside your body,
is the magic,
the magic,
Yeah,
that Stardust, that spirit.
yeah. So gratitude to you for joining us
Yeah.
on this first. Hey, we got our
Hey.
first one in. Our first this first episode
And it will
that
get
we're
smoother as
dropping.
it goes. We're figuring it out. We're trying it. We just wanted to share our story with you and hope it might inspire you, invoke something in you. And also maybe you guys can inspire us and teach us more. So
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. And
yeah,
we'll continue this Father Sundays. Yeah. And so until next time,
until next time,
Ashe hope.
I say hope.
May it be so.
Maybe
One
so.
love.
One love.